What's going on, YouTube? So we're back at it. We're gonna be looking at some pre-market runners. I got my scan going. So yeah, I know that you can't see the actual ticker, but I'll be typing it in so you can see the chart on the flexible grid. So we got about 20 minutes till market opens. Let's get this thing rolling right away. I'm gonna sort some of these pre-market runners by market percentage change. And one that stands out to me the most is KTOV. Also, so KTOV, as well as some of these two that are up 35% and 36%, but those are up a little more, so we got to be cautious. But let's go ahead and check out KTOV. Just finishing up my chart setup here. So KTOV, which I'm pulling up all the way to my right. Nice gap up, holding half a highs. 130 pre-market support potentially. Let's see what's going on here. So it broke this key resistance at 145. 130 was the prior resistance. There's 18 million shares bought in this region though. So let's see what the news is. So it looks like a collaboration with another company for lung cancer treatment. So with this, it's going to be kind of hard to play a breakout because there is sort of a resistance around 163 that I'm sensing. Yeah, it's 163. So even if you were to try to play this off its lows, it's not really the best play because, like I said, you do have that resistance and you don't know. I mean, you have all these shares traded from 140 to 250s, 260s, around 18 million. And then I think there's a 42 million. Yeah, there's a 42. So it's around 60 million, which is heavy. And granted, the resistance isn't until 270. But with this known resistance at 160, even though there is considerable volume coming in, this isn't something I want to attack. So we have TRNX2, which is the 31% gapper. TRNX and ALQA. TRNX, no thank you. ALQA here. Pretty illiquid overall. So I'm just gonna avoid. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark some of these. ALQA. Sort of marking them over off to the side. You can't see them, but all that matters is that you can see the chart. So BIVE, ELX, MF. BTO. So I'm not really spotting any that are lower market cap that are between, you know, 10 to 30%. I mean, I do see that have legitimate potential. KTOV was one that stood out right away, but there is those heavy shares traded in that region from the past, and then there's another level of resistance. So I don't really see it. I mean, it could break out a little bit and experience a breakup, but it's not something I'm gonna chase. And I mean, as far as like what else is moving that interests me, check out VXRT, KMPH. VXRT, not interested. It's been a downtrend for the past 5 days. KMPH. Resistance at around 220. So no. I guess KTOV may be worth keeping an eye on. I mean, it's a dangerous game trading pre-market, you know. But there is sort of a pre-market double bottom you might have been able to buy. But yeah. So I think this is actually, well, would this be a good short? I mean, you have this sort of high right here on the 180-day chart, as you can see, around 167-ish. 163. So wouldn't go chase in that region. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the watch list. CPRX. Yeah, I mean, this would have to pull back to the 530s for me to even consider trying to buy it. SMSI. Yeah, I just wouldn't wouldn't go after that either. There's not really a clearly defined risk, and it's already broke out a little bit and pulled back. PGNX on the other hand, so yeah, I'm still waiting for the pullback on PGNX. ARQL. Waiting for the pullback as well. Certainly wouldn't chase it up in the 6s. This is a pretty solid short setup in the $6 region. So MBRV, moving on to the biotech plays. So MBRV may be something I'm interested in here. It's getting resistance at 280, reach lows of 265. So maybe not, because it did break. So I'd probably wait for it to pull back to the 240s. Yeah, I'd definitely wait for it to pull back to the 240s still. So a lot of these moves are a little bit out of range for me to want to trade. I mean, just not at optimal price points that I would trade. ACHV. The CHV, no, it's just sort of consolidating around 350. Even though that is a potential resistance that it could bounce off of, I'm not really seeing adequate risk reward here. So, and then OVID. Yeah, no either. So KTOV pre-market double bottom, maybe could have traded it in high. I mean, but the main reason why I didn't go after it, you guys kind of heard too. I mean, because, okay, I don't like trading pre-market in general because of the volatility, because there's not a lot of trading. But at this point, there is a lot of trading going on. There's over 100K shares being traded. So it's a safer bet to trade pre-market when there is heavier volume. There was this double bottom that formed here. There's this top around the 160, 163 region, which, from what I am sensing, is consolidation lows from the past. So it kind of does make sense. But yeah, that's not going to go after that. So 5 minutes until the market opens. But OVID, let's see here. just crazy because a scanner just went out on me, which I'm not sure why this happens so often. I want to say, other than this problem, ThinkorSwim's been pretty great. So KTOV is sort of topping out in the 150s. Like I said, I mean, if you're a short, I mean, you're definitely trying to get a fill here, in my opinion. But today is Friday, so they could get squeezed. There is a chance for that. So right away, weak open for KTOV. No surprise there. Okay. What else is moving? CHK a little bit. That was one I had on my watch list. Lower market cap movers. TRNX, which I've already looked at. Yeah, I mean, pretty much VTL, KTOV. VTL I wouldn't play. I just don't feel comfortable with this setup on the 180 day. Yeah. Did break 77 cents overnight, which is bullish signal. But in fact, I didn't even check to see if Short Trader had borrows for KTOV, but you know, I probably wouldn't even want to short today either, to be honest, because it's a Friday. There's a lot of short squeezes on Fridays, and just because of the heavy volume this has been showing already pre-market. We've already had over 4 million, between 4 to 5 million shares traded this morning. So, and you know, buying a pullback in the 130s, trying to predict a triple bottom just isn't really a quality play, because this thing is sort of dying down and getting selling pressure in the 160s already. Now that was my biggest mistake. It still is one of my biggest weaknesses, is trying to sort of time bottoms on these volatile early morning plays, and just kind of getting way too excited early on. So PGNX, OVID, and that's been one of my weaknesses for a while. It's like being eager to get in a trade, so looking at a large percent gainer and telling myself, well, maybe this intraday pattern is gonna hold up. So OVID is up 1%, 20K traded. Not a whole lot on the day though. KTOV, okay. PGNX. Yeah, so KTOV is kind of losing my interest already, because I just don't see adequate risk reward. So I'm gonna mark it down. VTL, I think I've already checked it out. I'll check it out one last time to see if it's worth attacking. Yeah, definitely not. CHK, TRNX. Yeah, TRNX already kind of went over. So GE, Ford, no. These are just high market cap stocks that, you know, I'm interested in lower cap. So the S&P is up 17 points, so it's a pretty decently strong day so far. I'm gonna head over to my multi-breakout scan because there's not a lot pulling up on the current scan, but SESN and QD now OVID here does interest me. $180s. MLNT alert. Check out MLNT. Potential bounce at 440. Yeah, MLNT, no. OVID could try to get a fill here around 180s. Just gonna check okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean OVID here could get up to 190. The only thing with OVID is there's not a ton of range. I mean, I see its potential to get to maybe like 190s today, which is like 3, 5, 6%. So if anything, I probably should have played the pre-market double bottom so far on KTOV. So, but yeah, I mean OVID, I think this is a solid trend here that anyone could capitalize on. But for me and my conditions, my account conditions, it's probably not, because I have a lower account balance. It's probably not appropriate because it just wouldn't give me an adequate return on 3 to 4%. I know that sounds kind of selfish, like, oh, 3 to 4% isn't a good enough return for you, but with commissions is not really a whole lot of profit in that. Trade would take a long time to develop. So this is holding one of its pre-market resistance levels around the 130s. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, still wouldn't buy here. when the shorts attack, they attack. That's one thing for certain. And it's definitely playing out here. This isn't really the first time this has happened too. If you look back to about a month ago, it had a strong open and shorts pretty much pounced on it for the rest of the day, and it faded for a majority of the day, and that was 20% move. That was a beautiful short because the support levels just kept being cracked and cracked, and it was a gradual sort of stair-stepping decline, not stair-stepper, but decline. I mean, I kind of like a stair-stepper, but not in terms of increasing, but decreasing. And that's really off fading volume off this spike in the gap fill, I'm pretty sure. But this was a little tricky, that short, maybe because there wasn't really a for sure defined resistance level before in the 2 in January, even on these heavy volume candlesticks. So yeah. I mean, I may just say like, okay, double bottom 130. Which happened to be consolidation highs, maybe. Yeah, so now it's selling off. Looks like we're not going to get that pullback with PGNX, at least at the moment. I'm just going to go through some other tickers here too. Just kind of off the top of my head. Riot, no. So YRIV got up to its highs 190. It held well 117, and it's had a couple bounces in that region, profitable ones too. And it makes sense why it would bounce in that region, given that this was its resistance in heavier volume in the early March, with that top wick serving as the support level from March, as you can see here. And it bounced there twice actually. It was selling off on Friday and then had a quick perk up, and then Monday it gapped up, sold off, which obviously wouldn't hold over the weekend. That's a little too risky with the stock like this, but there was that bounce there. So you could have played the breakout, or you could have played the breakout's a little tricky though, because you would have to hold overnight, so you'd have to have a larger account, because you couldn't just buy this. I mean, you could buy this like into the close, yeah, and then you're gonna have to wait overnight to see if it happens or not. Granted, the volume is a little bit heavier, and there were some. I did an analysis on Wire IV. It was up because of they were suing other companies for I can't remember the specific term, but other companies were sort of bad mouthing them, and that's why they sued. So it wasn't really a legitimate reason why it was getting so much momentum, because the financials were poor, but you saw on a lot of blogs it was being promoted. So I expected this thing to come down pretty hard, and it came down around 38%, but it's still holding well. So RIV CPRX. I think someone was praising CPRX on Yahoo Messenger boards. It's up 12%. So pretty boring day, at least for me. It's hard to get anything going. So mRNS, not interested either. Guess I'll go through some of my past scans. EMBI. SNSS. I'm just kind of writing down pre-market double bottom, KTOV, consolidation levels, heavier volume, both of that equals greater reliability of intraday pattern. And this is why I didn't trade OVID. Well, I still haven't traded it because there is 70k shares traded, and sure, you know, it would be a good trade if you got up to if it got up to the 190s, but because then you could have clear risk here around 180-ish. But this is really a swing trade when you think about it, because it's going to take longer to develop. I mean, it is technically a day trade too, but it's going to take, you know, quite a while to develop. But if there's nothing else going on here, I may just go after it. It's just tricky with commissions if I really want to be that patient with the trade, you know. I know patience is key, but it just feels kind of forced, you know. That's not to say that you couldn't trade this and then it goes up to $2 and you make 10%. Nothing on the current scanner. PTN, XOG. Yeah, XOG, no. So we'll see what OVID can do. I mean, it's a pretty strong market. The S&P's up 20 points. It gives me faith that there will be some other plays too that'll come along, hopefully. But yeah, with OVID, you're really gonna, look for a push into the $2 region. Ideally, you want to sell at least $2 before the end of the day. And it could happen soon. It could happen later in the day. It could just fade off. But regardless, smaller accounts, probably not the best trade. But it is a fairly simple trend to play out. It's nothing mind-blowing. So PGNX, ACHV, OVID. It's just crazy how with KTOV, can you see? Yeah, so you can't see KTOV off to my left here, but so I'll pull it up on the right side here. So with KTOV, you can see how when it bounced intraday, it bounced at the double top, the top for the double top. Now this bounce play is extremely risky, but it's just interesting to see how it behaves on a more intraday level. You know, it sold off and then it bottomed out at the sort of top from in the middle of the double top. That's just an interesting observation. I know you guys might think I'm over analyzing, but I love analysis. I love to try to figure out anything I can about this. But KTOV, so other than that, they're still waiting here for some action on the breakouts. Not much. I know ZKIN was something I was looking at too. But yeah, so sold off $2. Yeah, I mean, with KTOV, it might have been something I could have been more aggressive with, but like I said, I trade more conservatively because I have a smaller account. You know, I am more of a conservative trader because I've lost a lot of money, so I'm a little biased. But when I'm, you know, more, let's say later on, when I have a string of winning trades, if I have a string of winning trades, I might decide to trade more aggressively because I have more confidence. You know, not to the point where I'm making bonehead mistakes, but I mean, even with KTOV, do you really want to buy in the 130 range when, I mean, yeah, you could because there's consolidation highs sort of in that region, but there's also this high right here at 145, which is where it topped out. Wow. But there is this high here at 145 in the middle of March. So that would be something, you know, I mean, if you're buying in the 130s and then selling at 145, that's like 10%. So you might have been able to play that pre-market, but it's tough, man. ZKIN there's nothing going on that I'm interested in. I know I said I marked KTOV, but there's some good volume going on right now, so I'm for sure watching it. Let's go back to the large percent gainer scan. MARA. Yeah, I think I already looked at Mara. Pull it up here so you guys can see. Yeah, so not really interested in Mara. Yeah, BKEP already looked at that. INPX. So yeah, for the small caps, pretty boring day so far. KTOV was the only one that kind of got me excited. I don't even want to say excited because that's like a rookie word to get excited in the market. Just your biggest mistake because you have to stay objective. But just going off here. KTOV, I mean, yeah, could get another bounce here in 140s, but I'm not going to play it because the volume is fading. It's still relatively high, but it's not really a safe bet. Don't want to play this when it's crashing from its highs on the day. I mean, I've almost been tempted over the past few trading sessions to trade pre-market because I mean, if I'm confident in the pattern, and there's heavy volume, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world because you are controlling your risk. There's heavier volume, just like if you were to trade the open. The only difference is there's I mean, it's still pretty volatile too. Yeah, I mean, trading pre-market I don't think is the worst decision ever because I just think you have to be super selective with what you're trading. I mean, for me, I really don't like trading pre-market because smaller account, you know, like for me, I keep on going back to smaller account, and that's just like CTRM is, oh, CTRM. I'll talk about my smaller account point, but wow, this just happened so quick. News must have hit. I was going to say with the smaller account, you know, the best trades are clear breaks over highs and, you know, steady reversals on multi-day time frames, surrounding yourself with volatility, predictable patterns, not necessarily trying to play a double bottom pre-market on something that has a lot of shares bought in that region already. That's my point with KTOV, and that was the reason why I didn't buy it, and I stand by my reasoning, even though I could have probably capitalized on that double bottom. So CTRM is interesting me because it's pulling back. Maybe it could pull back to 550 and get a decent bounce. WTER.
So yeah, waiting for the pullback to around the 560s for CTRM. Very, very volatile setup. So something to be very careful of. Wouldn't be surprised if it gets halted. Oh, and it got the bounce at 5. Or at 580 is. All right, I mean, couldn't really, or maybe it's a fake out bounce. Yeah, I wouldn't feel comfortable buying this until it pulls back to around the 560s. CTRM, XOG. So it pulled back to the 5. I'm just trying to figure out why it pulled back to the 580s. I can't really spot any key levels of pressure there. Oh, I guess now I see it on the 20-day chart.
So CTRM. I know that I should be more aggressive in the first hour. Yes, it's CTRM. Here. Looks like KTOB really got a solid bounce too. Looking over here off to my left, I know you can't see it. Put in a higher low. And bounce 10%. Definitely probably scaring shorts a little bit. S&P is up 18 points. And the Dow is up 220 points. Wow, pretty strong day for the Dow. But yeah, these are the two. So I know you can't see the KTOV chart, but there was a good bounce there. Actually, can you? Let me see it here. Yeah, you can't see it. I'll just pull it up down here. As you can see, put in that higher low in the 143 region.
going on here with CTRM? Breaking that top wick from Tuesday. It hasn't broke it quite yet, but yeah, it has actually. By a little bit, it has. So this is an interesting battle right here between shorts and longs. If this breaks, could go. It's just halted. I know TOS doesn't say so, but seems like it is because it's just at a stalemate. ARQL, PGNX. Just interesting how CTRM isn't moving at all now. AKAO. ASYS. Okay, yeah, so it broke. Oh, temporarily. And here come the shorts. But 770 looks like a key resistance level. So CTRM, I just kind of want to pull back to the 5s, 550s, even 570, and I might buy. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm looking for with that.
So CTRM, I'm just pretty much awaiting that pullback to the $6 region. Other than that, there's nothing new on my TRCH. It's a new one. Check that one out. 135 million market cap. Bounce at 180. I wonder why this didn't come up earlier on my scan. Because this was within 3% of its 3-day highs. PGNX, ACHV, OVID. CPG is a little bit overextended beyond its breakout level of 330. OPTT is not interesting at all.
Okay, so had a couple opportunities. CTRM, I know I looked at it before its huge run. But 650s. So I think where I'm pretty upset about myself in regards to this setup, at least so far, is I was trying to get a fill down in the 560s, but it doesn't have to go to the resistance obviously I created, and that's just kind of common sense. But it looked like it was, you know, where are the forces switching versus where is my resistance? And I'm gonna write that down. PPDF, because with this one I was trying, so with CTRM I was trying to wait till it pulled back to like the 550s to get a pull or to get a fill, but realizing, you know, I got to be smart enough to realize like, hey, you know, this really looks like momentum's changing again at around the 580s, and that happened to also be a resistance. And it makes sense because the 580s was the top of the candle for Wednesday, which had a little bit higher volume. Top of candlestick with high volume, high relative volume. All right, so yeah, basically my notes for that are like, where does there seem to be a buyer / seller conflict? You know, where is like momentum changing? And then aiming for a fill there rather than what I expect to be the support or resistance level. And then, you know, gauging, usually these pullbacks are happening around, as you can see, key resistance levels from the past with higher volume, which 580 was where it bottomed out and it began to reverse. So yeah, I mean, at this point, would I still play it? Like I said before, it's up so high, I don't like risking that. I'm waiting for a pullback to the 560s. Even then, I don't really feel that comfortable buying it now. Yeah, I mean, looking for pullbacks at resistance on the 10-day chart And then the higher volume those resistance stays, the greater likelihood it bounces in those regions. But this was a multi-week resistance with higher relative volume that it bounced at the 570s. As you can see here from Wednesday, around 579, 580, which was sure enough right around where it bottomed out at. Scanner's looking pretty dry. CTRM is obviously the most interesting setup right now, so that's what I got my eyes on. CTRM. KAO, TSYS. So we're approaching 8 here. I'm probably gonna call the stream then. I realized that streaming for 5 to 6 hours can get super boring, but I will be updating if I take any positions. I have some alerts set, mainly with CTRM. I'm looking for a bounce after the pullback around the $6 region, but even then I'm pretty upset that I didn't play it. Okay, so I learned, I guess I'll just overview some things I learned today. I learned that you can trade pre-market, but you have to be, more certain of what's going on. Bearing in mind the sort of long-term pattern. Support and resistance levels still do matter pre-market. Of course, but I don't know, it's something I kind of let go of for some reason pre-market. But pre-market trading is higher odds if you have an ideal long-term setup, like in the case of KTOV. So you had this double bottom, so it was obviously shorts are going to pounce on this at some point. I mean, you know it's coming, right? I mean, you see here, I mean, from just a general perspective, like my first thought, okay, 160s shorts are going to try to get a fill because you have consolidation lows from October in that region. You have a resistance in mid-January at 165. And then you have another upper wick here in March, mid-March, that went up to 180, but you see the general I don't want to say triple top, but resistance that the price has, the level of resistance the price has resisted consistently over the course of the past around 4 months. So you see that. So right away it's like, okay, I don't want to buy this high. So that was my first reason as to why I didn't want to buy it. This still isn't the best quality trade now, but you could have spotted that there was a pre-market double bottom around 130, and that 130 price was a resistance level. If you zoom in here, 130 was a resistance. You can see pretty clear. I'll draw it out. So when these stop, which also happens to be the double bottom low. So and these days had slightly higher volume too, which definitely helps. Around hundreds of thousands, 200,000, a couple 300,000. So pulls back and then it bounces in that region. Not too bad of a pre-market play, considering during the pre-market it's trading 10,000, 50,000, 100,000. There's a pretty clear double bottom. It's a pretty obvious pattern intraday. Even though it's up a lot, you would just have to sort of minimize your expected reward and say, okay, yeah, I'm hoping for it to go to 150, 160, where it previously had the original spike. And it showed originally that it could go to 160, but it was pretty obvious that shorts wanted to get a fill there. And from now, I'm probably not going to play it. Because trying to play a higher low with the fading volume, it's just not a good bet for me. So even if it does keep going, then it's not really my trade. This wasn't even really my trade pre-market, but there is some insight to be gained from the quick 20% perk up that happened right before the market opened. So, and then the other, so that was one of the consolidation levels, bounces at resistance, bounces at multi-week resistance. And then 165, 50% held less than half of its spike, a little bit less than its spike. So that's bearish. I expect this to keep fading today. You know, it could go up, but you're fighting a losing battle there. The trend is your friend. So that was one thing on pre-market trading I took away from today's session. I also took away that a lot of like CTRM, which is at 33%. Oh. Ooh, okay. Wow, this pulled back to, briefly pulled back to $6 region. Was too busy talking about the other setup. Wow, okay. All right. Well, there goes that. I probably could have attacked here in the $6 range again. But CTRM, the lesson is that, you know, it doesn't have to be a resistance that you think it is. It's more so what the stock is showing you its support or resistance to be. And this happened to find support at a previous resistance around 590, which was a sort of a higher relative volume day high, not high, but you can see on this red candlestick around 590, and that's where I got the bounce because I had higher volume on that day. I was expecting it to come down to 550 because that was sort of a more obvious level of resistance, at least for me, because of this top wick and other past days too. But that happened to not be the support that it was reversing at, and it instead reversed around the 615, 620. So to me at that point, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I need to be more aggressive when attacking, when there's, I need to be looking at where the changes are taking place and not focusing on it getting to a certain level, especially with volatile setups. And this is already showing it can move a lot. So even if you're getting a fill where you don't feel like it's what you believe the support level, new support level to be, that's not always the best way to go about going long. It's more so just paying attention to the momentum itself. So I'm writing that down in my notes too. CTRM getting another bounce. Just too busy yapping that I missed the second opportunity here. And it's unfortunate. This could be a head and shoulders here forming intraday. So yeah, that'll be it for today's stream. But yeah, I hope you guys got some good information out of this. I know that I didn't trade. I don't really like trading. I don't really like trading. Being so quick to trade, and I know that I'm like doing these streams and I'm hardly ever trading. It's just because I'm struggling right now with figuring out when to be aggressive. You know, I'm trying to figure out the optimal times, and not just buying randomly. So I do think I'm really developing though throughout this process, and it's helping me to be able to, no, not being selfish, but it is helping me to be able to talk through a lot of the thoughts I have about these setups with you guys. So please leave a comment on your thoughts of today's stream, what you think about my style. Yeah, I mean, if you know, let's talk if you're into these penny stocks. The only reason why I'm going kind of early is because I feel like I've missed out on a handful of opportunities already within the first hour. You know, there's probably going to be some other opportunities, but I really am just more focused on like ramping up that aggression in the first hour. I might get back into it in the last couple hours around 11, but for now I'm just gonna take a break. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in. If you did, I'll be back at it again next week. I actually finished some assignments for school, so I'll have some more time that week to be consistently trading. But yeah, that'll be it. So I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll catch you later. All right, bye.